Okay, here's the review of Build-A-Figure Gorilla Grodd, as well as DC Universe Classics Wave 2 as a whole. As you can see, Grodd easily towers above all DC Universe Classics figures, even Black Manta with his cords attachment. Okay, the figure is very nice. You can see how the arm attachments go on, and the helmet connector does not come off. It is permanently on his head. The head is a little loose, which can create some issues when you're rotating it. Pretty much the cords hold it in place. The leg articulation as well leaves a lot to be desired, since they just simply hook on, and they're there just to keep the figure standing. You can't really move them that much. The arm articulation actually makes up for it, though. He's got a really long reach, and he's got good posability, as long as you don't, get the cords right on your elbow joint. But overall, he's a great figure. The character first appeared in Flash comics, and he was basically a gorilla from Gorilla City, where gorillas could speak and were of much higher intellect than humans, and he escaped and tried to capture. He had different motives every time, usually involving in destroying humanity or capturing Gorilla City. And each time in the original Flash series, he was really the most reoccurring villain in early Flash. He would basically get captured by Flash, taken back to Gorilla City. The Gorilla guards would say, "Oh, don't worry, he's lost his ability to control people's minds." And then 2 issues later, he'd be back, escape from prison, and have his mind control powers back. Kinda got old, but it was the 40s, what are you gonna do? Okay, overall, this figure is fantastic. A lot of people have complained, he's just a monkey with a head attachment, but he's still really cool, and he's got these blood red eyes, which are just really creepy. Okay, but overall, I'm gonna go, I want to say 9, but with the leg posability as it is, I'm going to drop it down to 8.5. Love the figure, but, posability is important. Okay, now on to the figures. Okay, figure 1 was Firestorm. I didn't know a lot about this figure. I still don't. I know a little bit more from just kind of studying up, but not a lot to go on a rant about him. I gave this figure a 8 originally. I like him, but I didn't know a lot about him, but his posability was good, and the only real problem I had was that the Atom models are bent, but they're supposed to be to fit on his hand. Aquaman. I gave this guy a 9.5, because I really couldn't find anything wrong with him, and the detail on him is astounding, from the gold ring that lines his collar to the tiny indentions on his body, as well as the trident. The detail and posability are fantastic. Harley Quinn. I gave this character a 7. She was disappointing in that she was the first female, her legs had a weird little bend in them, and you couldn't really do much with them because of that, and to pose her you had to spread the legs apart a little differently than normal, as well as her accessories didn't fit in her hands well at all. You can see there I have her dual holding the mallet with both hands. So I gave her a 7, and I don't regret that decision. This is the Red Superman, the variant to Blue Superman. I gave this character an 8.5 for just having great posability and looking great posed. He's pretty cool. There's nothing really all that special about him except for the fact that he's just looks interesting on a shelf. Okay, Black Manta. My first DC Universe Classics review. He received a 7.5. I liked him. I thought the detail on the helmet was fantastic, but other than that, he didn't have a lot of detail at all. The black jumpsuit was not very detailed, as well as the trident was standard gray. The stinger as well had no detail and did not fit in his hand well. Looking back on it, I might have actually dropped him down to a 7, but I'm going to keep him at a 7.5. Okay, the line as a whole gets a, I'm going to say a 9, because they went with, I'm not going to say lesser known characters, they actually picked some pretty popular characters. They had the arch nemesis, Black Manta, and Aquaman. And the quality overall was great. Okay. I also wanted to take this time in the video to answer some questions. The figures on my desk are not for sale. They never will be, unless I specifically make a video saying I'm selling my figures, and that's not happening anytime soon. Another question I get asked a lot is, have I stopped doing Marvel Select? I haven't, but at the time being, there's not a lot of Marvel Select around, as well as Marvel Legends have really died off until that new wave with Nova and Punisher comes out. The Target exclusives, I wanted them, but they're sold out now. And the Marvel exclusives, I got Crossbones, and that was the only one. I mean, the Walmart, I said Marvel. The only exclusive I wanted was Crossbones, and I have him, and I have no interest for any others. But I am waiting on the new wave, and I'm actually looking into getting a full wave of Hulk Classic Legends with the Build-A-Figure Thing Fang Boom. So that should be interesting enough. Okay. But this is J-Train 997. Gorilla Grodd is a fantastic Build-A-Figure, and the wave as a whole gets a 9.